Bulletcast for life.
Get up! This is a revolution! This is our time to rise! Look deep within your mind, look deep into the hate in my eyes! We are the elite, and you are the weak! No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet! Red alert, this is gonna hurt! When your face is in the dirt, you'll know your death is what I seek! We are the elite, and you are the weak!
Ladies and gentlemen, you know the name, you know the voice, you know exactly why I'm here. Just in case you don't know, I'm a 24-year-old piece of gold, the Messiah of the microphone, of the greatest sports recreational podcast in the world today, the microphone Messiah. I think I already said that, yeah. But you know I never do it alone. I'm a tag team partner, the Jim to my J, the totem on the Stevie Ray to my Booker T. The host of the award-winning Under the Radar, host and creator of Curveballs and Chair Shots. He's the 9-time and reigning defending Bulletcast champion, the Canadian Destroyer, BT, Brandon Tan Guma. BT, it's Thursday. You know why we're here. We're here to talk professional wrestling. How you doing, man? You all right? You okay, bud?
I'm doing okay. My two favorite sports teams, the Heat and the A's, both have elimination games today, so I'm a little stressed. But I'm going to get through it. I'm going to talk some wrestling, get my mind off of it. So let's just get into it.
I still think, you know, my Raptors should have been there, but it's okay, you know. 2020 wasn't a good year for anybody, so, you know, we'll come back. We'll come back next year, stronger than ever. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we're going to get into it. So we're actually going to talk SmackDown. We don't normally do this here. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's been announced that Jey Uso will have another shot at his cousin, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, for the Universal Championship. And, you know, in the promo, Roman's like, you really want to do this? Okay, I love you, but you're making a big mistake. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I think it makes total sense. I think people could have saw the Clash of Champions match as a blow-off, but I think going back at it just one more time is good enough. I think the Roman Reigns character and the storyline going on with him and Jey, and I think this might just lead him running through the entire Samoan dynasty. Who knows if maybe it culminates WrestleMania with The Rock? We're just going to have to wait and find out about that. But I think the Roman Reigns character is definitely the best thing going on SmackDown. And I don't really watch SmackDown, you know, I don't go out of my way to watch it, but I think because of their work that Roman's doing, and also Jey, so shout out Jey as well, I think they're definitely, you know, making people want to watch it a little bit more, because SmackDown for a long time there was not so hot.
It wasn't. I mean, I think the hottest it was when we went to that episode earlier this year. Yeah.
And the whole world went to hell.
Absolutely, you know, we saw FTR's last WWE appearance. Mm-hmm. That's how special we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We told them. We went backstage. We're like, you know what, guys? You guys got to get out of here.
Yeah, and then they did. Look at him! Look at him now. You know, Brandon and I are going to start training, and we're going to challenge them for the AEW tag titles. That's just how it's going to go. You know, match won't be
brush
good.
With greatness.
But yeah, absolutely. You know, double the brush because we're great. We're generational talents. Moving on, Sasha Banks challenges Bayley next week, which will be tomorrow night, on the draft episode of SmackDown for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Too soon. Too soon in my eyes, you know. Sasha should have been gone for longer, you know. Keep her off TV until, like, Survivor Series. I would have been fine with that. I really would have.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I do think that this is way too soon. This was kind of the longest story going in WWE, and then they're not saying it's going to culminate at this match on SmackDown, but I think people realize that it's not going to culminate on SmackDown. It's going to be another BS finish, like mostly every other television match in WWE, and you can just tell the story better. I mean, as you said, I think you could find some ways to elongate it. Maybe just don't even have them break up at this point if you're trying to make it a bigger deal and trying to culminate it at a, you know, Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or something like that. Maybe not stretching out that far, but at least getting it to some sort of pay-per-view instead of just, you know, doing the breakup and then a promo here, a promo there, and then just randomly putting it on a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna have a screwy finish. Or what if Bayley gets drafted to Raw and she has the SmackDown Women's title? Then what are they gonna do?
We're just gonna have to find out. I would assume, I know this has happened before, but logically, you would think that the champions would be locked unless there's a trade for champions. But that's just me. That's just me putting my GM hat on.
Or, I heard my boy Sam Roberts say this. What if Bailey's drafted to Raw and Adam Pearce, I guess he's the official on TV now, he makes her vacate the championship, and then going forward, she wants an opportunity at a title, so she'll challenge Asuka, so to speak. Let's say she beats Asuka. Sasha wins the Royal Rumble. That's how she gets to Bailey, finally. Possibly? Possibly? Is that too much to ask for?
I mean, you could do that, but I guess that means you have to write off Sasha Banks yet again, because she's not just going to sit around for. Unless you do have one on SmackDown and one on Raw. So I guess that's what you're kind of getting at. But if you're building to this match and then just all of a sudden you say, okay, Bailey's gone, we're not going to settle this anymore,
or Sasha gets drafted to Raw.
But then you put this whole time in them feuding, and then just you're going to cool it off for no apparent reason for like 3 months just to get it to the Royal Rumble.
That's why she shouldn't have come back so soon. Look, Bailey needs to. I love Sasha. I love her to death. She needs to beat her down so bad that we don't see her until the Royal Rumble. Legit, shoot work. We don't see her until the Royal Rumble at all.
She's got to start plugging the Mandalorian.
Absolutely, let her sit at home with her husband and her dog and all that other stuff. We don't need to see her. Let's do that. I'm a fan.
WWE, except for when it comes to Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, not a fan of long-term storylines.
Yeah, it is what it is. Last up on SmackDown, the KO show, Alexa Bliss was the guest, and she said he's everywhere. Which the Fiend, he's like Santa Claus. He's everywhere. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Yeah.
He knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
You see, Brandon, you understand, man. You understand. So this is all leading to the Fiend versus Kevin Owens on the draft episode of SmackDown tomorrow night. Kevin Owens back to the blue brand, could we say? Raw wasn't really good for him. Didn't do much.
It is a possibility. We saw maybe the groundwork laid for some wrestlers to be switched over from brand to brand. I don't know if we're going to talk about it on Raw, but we saw everything go on with Kevin Owens and the Fiend over there. So I think it is a possibility. So with Sasha and Bailey, I have a little bit more issue with it being on SmackDown. This one, it's the Fiend as much as people like him. I don't know exactly how people feel about him now. But a Fiend Kevin Owens match, we kind of know where we're going to get another screwy finish, because that's usually what happens in every Fiend match, it feels like. But this one's fine, I guess. But the whole theme is that when you have a brush with the Fiend, you turn into a different person. I don't know what that means. Braun Strowman, he's not too crazy, but he shaved his head, so maybe that counts for something. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe Kevin Owens goes back to being that sadistic bastard that he was in Ring of Honor. Maybe we get a little Kevin Steen on SmackDown. But then again, the biggest heel on SmackDown is Roman Reigns, so would you really want another one towering over? And plus you have the Fiend already.
Yeah, I think SmackDown really is lacking baby faces at the moment. You have Jeff Hardy. You have the possibility of AJ Styles turning eventually. I think Matt Riddle's out there, but I'm not the biggest fan of how they're dealing with Matt Riddle at the moment. So, Dana Bryan's lurking out there somewhere on paternity leave.
Yeah, let's really look at that. SmackDown, Roman, Miz, Morrison, AJ, Sammy, Corbin, the Fiend, that 7 heels right there. How many baby faces do they have? You named Matt, you named Jeff, that's 2. Otis, sure, so that's 3. Yeah, I don't know. We need this draft desperately now. Switch some things up. It's time to shake things up again, damn it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to Outside of the Ring. We got some sad news. Glow. Season 4 has been canceled by Netflix. It hurts my heart. It really does, man. I was a fan of Glow. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought they did justice and really protected the business. It was based in the 80s. You saw Allison Brie, you saw Mark Maron, you saw people from the wrestling world. Alex Riley, John Morrison, Chavo Guerrero, Carlito, Brodus Clay. You saw people like that. You saw Daniels and Kazarian in this series. What are your thoughts on Glow being canceled, Brandon?
I mean, it sucks. They were setting up a fourth and final season. They were going back. I think they were going back to LA, kind of the end of their Las Vegas run, and I'm. It sucks. I mean, I loved Glow. I think it was nice as a wrestling fan to watch it. It had some like nice little Easter eggs, but also just as a show, as a whole, it was a nice, good show. I watched Mark Maron. He was on, I think he was doing like an Instagram live, but they kind of cut it on Twitter, and he was kind of talking about, why don't they just make it into a movie? You have it a nice like hour and a half, 2 hour movie. You can just put in kind of the main points from what the last season was going to bring. You can sew all those loose ends up and put it together. Because Timeless, I used to watch the show called Timeless. It's like a time traveling type thing. They had a seat. They had a few seasons. It got canceled, but then they came back, did a movie, and they kind of tied up all those loose ends. Very similar situation. So hopefully the Glow community, wrestling community, can like make their voices heard. Maybe Netflix. It was a cost cutting measure because of COVID, and I guess they deemed that Glow wasn't necessary, and it was cost too much. So hopefully, maybe the movie idea is still a possibility.
I heard they'd already filmed the majority of it, though.
Oh, then just kind of sew some things together.
Yeah, just sew it on up. Sew it on up. All right, inside of the ring, Finn XT, the NXT champion, Finn Balor, the Prince. He broke his jaw at Takeover 31 against Kyle O'Reilly. Brandon, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it sucks. I don't know if you want to say that the NXT championship is cursed, because we've had two back-to-back champions get injured fairly quickly in their first title defense. Finn was adamant that he will still be the champion. He will still defend it. I mean, storyline wise, Drew McIntyre hurt his jaw. He's still there, but this was a legit injury. There's x-rays out there. Finn, see his swollen face. Still looks beautiful, by the way. But I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know exactly what a broken jaw entails, the recovery time. Yeah, I mean, obviously in the wrestling business, you're always kind of taking hits to the face, and just one more aggravation could cause some serious damage. So I'm not a doctor. I just play one on a podcast. So don't listen to me.
Don't listen to Brandon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jazz, you remember her, former WWE Women's Champion. Hell, she was the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion, I think. She had like what 900 something days. She retired from wrestling in a recent interview with my homie Chris Van Vliet. She announced that she has retired from the ring. She was going to do a retirement tour this year, but 2020, the virus has messed everything up. I mean, we know how wrestling retirements go. She said she's not going to Terry Funk it, but if this is truly the end, Jazz, I mean, thank you. She's in my top 10. She's in my buddy and I's top 10. Just one of the most badass wrestlers ever, male or female. She started in ECW wrestling guys, and then she came over to WWE, and then she tore it up. She beat down Victoria and Molly Holly and Trish Stratus, and she was in a tough spot going up after Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 18. But she still thinks that she, Lita, and Trish had a pretty decent match. And it's just your time in the ring has to come to an end. What are your thoughts on Jazz retiring? What are your thoughts on her career?
Jazz had a great career. She was definitely one of those women early on in my wrestling fandom that I kind of remember. She was one of those badass heels, and she was never one of my favorites, but I definitely had an appreciation for her. And now kind of looking back and kind of understanding what she did kind of before and even what she did after. I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with Jazz, but we've kind of talked about it here and there. She was NWA champion, and I mean, that's just kind of the way that things are going here in 2020. You had a plan, and then it just blows up in your face.
Absolutely, man. I mean, Jazz, her finisher was the B clap. I can't say the word. We're on the radio, but it was the predecessor to Beth Phoenix's Glam Slam. Yes, a little paying homage there. I like that. I like that a lot. We're gonna move on to this day in wrestling. So there was a Raw on this day in 2001. Steve Austin beats Kurt Angle for the WWF title. This would be the final time that Steve Austin would hold a world championship. All right. Moving on from that. What else do we have here? Oh, Lillian Garcia. Her first single, Shout, was released on this day in 2002. Congratulations, Lillian. No Mercy 2006. Matt Hardy defeats Gregory Helms. Paul London and Brian Kendrick defeat Casey James and Damian Sandow. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Mr. Kennedy defeats The Undertaker by disqualification. Rey Mysterio defeats Chavo Guerrero. And then you have Booker T defeating Bobby Lashley, Dave Batista, and Finlay to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Raw on this day in 2007, Jeff Hardy defeats Mr. Kennedy. And then WCPW True Legacy, Kurt Angle defeats Cody Rhodes. This was in 2016 when Angle was, still wrestling at a normal pace. Hell in a Cell 2017. The most notable things I can say is that Hell in a Cell match between the Usos and the New Day, which was a barn burner. You have Orton defeating Rusev. Baron Corbin defeated Ty Dillinger and AJ Styles to win the United States Championship. Charlotte defeats Natalya by disqualification. Robert Roode defeats Dolph Ziggler. And Jinder Mahal defeats Shinsuke Nakamura to retain the WWE title. And you have Kevin Owens defeating Shane McMahon inside Hell in a Cell. Any thoughts on all of that?
Not really. For some reason, I think for Hell in a Cell 2017, we did an in-person pay-per-view recap. I think I drove down to your house for some strange reason when you said Hell in a Cell and Usos and New Day, that popped in my head.
Yeah. I think that was way before the Skype days. So we had to do them in person, yes sir. All right. Also, we got some birthdays. Paul Burchill, you remember him? He was supposed to be the next big thing. He's 41 years old today. And then The Miz, Mike Mizanin, he's the big 4-0. Happy birthday, Miz. Happy birthday, Mike.
And Miz getting old, but new season of Miz and Mrs. coming soon to USA. Can't wait.
It is coming soon to USA. I mean, it's going to be one of the greatest premieres in the history of the business. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Fan mail. Yay. Let's go to the oh Jesus, we have all the fan mail. Jack of all trades. Cody versus Brody was a bloody mess. Yanking on each other's necks with the chain was cool. Wish Brody kept the title. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into that. I don't think it was the right move for Cody to win the TNT Championship back, in my personal opinion. And I love Cody. I love him to death. Hootie Hoo 420.
Hootie Hoo.
30 years of Le Champion, awesome career, and Luther, it's time to hang him up, mate. Yeah. We are going to talk about that. Alfie Lewis, I never want to see that guy Luther wrestle ever again. Absolutely never. Wow. Okay. Luther not getting any love here on the BC.
Nobody likes Luther around here, apparently.
I guess so. Dan, after what happened on Monday, now the Retribution angle is starting to make some sense. Maybe it isn't a total waste of time, effort, and talent. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. Jack of all trades. R.I.P. EVH, my childhood and youth is no more. Yeah, Eddie Van Halen of the band Van Halen. He unfortunately passed away. He succumbed to his cancer. It's sad. The rock world lost a legend. Eddie Van Halen. I mean, my introduction to him, the guitar solo for Michael Jackson's "Beat It," probably my favorite guitar solo of all time. I thought it was Slash for the longest time, and then when I was like, when I was like a freshman in high school, somebody had to wake me up like, nah, that's Eddie Van Halen. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I've heard a couple of his songs. I wasn't like a mega fan. I'm not going to pretend like I am or anything, but talented guy. It's unfortunate. R.I.P.
Van Halen, one of the greatest bands of all time. We got Chris Jericho rocking the EVH in Sharpie on his shoulder, saluting his boy. And, Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. It was sad. Another 2020 death that has sucked. And also, shout out Bob Gibson. He passed away on Friday, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Literally changed the game because he was so dominant they had to change the mound.
Wow. R.I.P. to him as well. All right, and Brightest Day X. No, Mr. X.
Mr. X.
He actually changed his Twitter name to Mr. X.
I did see that. He changed his Twitter name to Mr. X. So, shout out Dominic, who coined the phrase Mr. X, and now look at that. He's going by it now.
Oh,
changing the world.
I thought you coined it.
Well, no, he coined it.
Okay.
I just take everything, all the he doesn't do too many smart things, but when he does, I try to take it away from him and try to pretend like it was mine.
I see, absolutely. Is the NXT Women's Division now the top division in all of pro wrestling with the additions of Tony Storm and the triumphant return of Ember Moon? It could possibly be. You have Io, you have Candice, Dakota Kai, you have Sonya Deville Jr., Tony, Ember, Shotzi, Rhea. You know, Ali. You can throw Aaliyah in there, I guess. You know, I mean,
The real Aaliyah, not Aaliyah Mysterio.
Aaliyah Mysterio might be a better worker than Aaliyah. Let's be real.
I mean, she's been in NXT for like 20 years, it feels like, and she's still in the same exact spot.
Yeah. The Robert Stone brand. Yeah. I think this was their way of bringing these two women into the fold, trying to help the loss of Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez, which I still believe Mia Mercedes get the hell out of there. Come back home. Come back to where it's safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to speak about them being the best women's division, in the world, because I think Japanese women's wrestling, that is a scene that I'm not familiar with, so I can't exactly comment on that. But I think North American NXT definitely has the best women's division. I've been saying it for a long time. I mean, I love the Candice Io match. I think there's so many great matches that they have down there, and I mean, AEW. I kind of wish they would poach some of the NXT talent because they desperately need it. WWE, they have great talent, but it's just they kind of have their core set of people that they run with, and they just kind of go through those matches too quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see where some of these women will be placed once they get to the main roster. Mr. X also wants to know, what are your thoughts on the statement released by Jack Gallagher? As we know, Jack Gallagher was released in June. Excuse me. He was one of the people involved in the Speak Out movement. I read a little bit of the statement. He said he had too much to drink at a party in 2014. He said, that's not really an excuse for what happened. Uh, he, he said he may have acted inappropriately. He didn't get into the full details of it or whatever. But I mean, whatever happened, got to learn from your mistakes.
I have not seen the comments or the statement, so I don't really want to comment. But I mean, hopefully I mean, it's kind of crappy to say learn from your mistakes and never do it again, because you shouldn't have done it in the first place. But I mean, that's just kind of the terrible world we live in these days.
Yeah. Jack Gallagher, he was a good talent too. The umbrella dude, I loved him. All right, Mustafa Ali definitely deserves a top spot on the roster, but is this the storyline to do it with? Also, can he save Retribution? Plus, am I the only one getting Dark Order vibes? Is Mustafa Ali the exalted one for the Dark Order? Let's hop right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Mustafa Ali was revealed as the leader of Retribution. He seeks them to attack the Hurt Business, and yeah, people have said this all makes sense. Ali was supposed to be a top star on SmackDown, got hurt, got replaced by Kofi. Kofi Mania ran wild. He never really recovered. Then there was a hacker that was going to hack the system of WWE, and here we are with Mustafa Ali. There's some people saying that. So I don't know. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
So Ali being the leader of Retribution, I kind of have mixed feelings about it, because I'm just I have the same exact thought as Mick Foley does. If this means that Ali is going to get significant boost in television time, if he's going to be not maybe a main staple like Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and people like that, but he's going to get a lot of time to kind of develop this character, I'm perfectly fine with it, because I think Ali has been vastly underutilized. Now, should he be a top guy? Probably not, but I think he hasn't been utilized to his full potential. Then on the other hand, I'm glad that it's not Keith Lee or somebody else that I think has that higher potential and gets wasted here on Retribution, because Dominic Dijakovic and Mia Yim and some of the other people on there. So I like Ali being in that mix because it gives him a boost, but also it doesn't drag someone else down.
Are you saying Mustafa Ali is a B+ player?
I am not saying he's a B+ player. Oh. And besides, there's nothing wrong with being a B+ player. The person who coined that phrase, Triple H, he is a B+ player.
Whoa! What do you mean? How is Triple H a B+ player?
He's really good. But is he Stone Cold or The Rock? No, he's not.
Better worker than both.
But he's a bigger star than both?
I mean, well, you have to look at it. Rock went and did movies. If Hunter went and did movies, probably.
I mean, he did.
We
He
don't
has done
know.
movies. He has done movies.
I mean, we're talking like consistently. Like we don't know.
I mean, come on. Greats like the Chaperona.
The Chaperone was fantastic. I don't know what you people are talking about. You know,
And
I mean,
the
come on.
Blade, was it Blade 3 that he was like a henchman, a part of, but they made it seem like he was a star?
He has had great roles. He was on the Bernie Mac show. Yeah, he's had great roles. I will not let you disrupt Papa Trips like that. I will not let that happen. And you claim to be an NXT guy. You have to love all aspects of it, including the boss. Shame on you,
I'm
Brandon.
not a blind sheep.
Whoa, okay.
But wear your mask, people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So moving on from all of that, Murphy finally turns on Seth.
I mean, it's about time. He's been simping over Seth for a long time, and he's finally grew a pair and went up against the Messiah.
Now he's simping over Aaliyah. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, you never turn on a Messiah. You just don't do that. He chose his emotions over his over logic, and it may come to bite him in the butt. Yeah.
I don't know what this means for Murphy, if he's going to be kind of on the mysterious side, or if he's just going to be on an island unto himself with maybe Aaliyah joining him in a little bit. But I think maybe, pivoting a little bit to Murphy and Seth having matches instead of having Seth versus Dominic for the 1,000th time. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think this is kind of, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is kind of a nice way to write off Seth. He can give Murphy a little bit of a boost if he leaves for paternity leave or whatever. So, I mean, I like it. They did kind of lean more into the romantic aspect of Murphy and Aaliyah by Seth saying, no, I didn't reveal the full conversations and how she truly feels about you or stuff like that. So that's another aspect of the storyline that's still kind of out there, not fully fleshed out quite yet, which they were kind of jumping to conclusions last week about that. So I just can't imagine what the internet's going to think about it if something else pops up.
That is a possibility. I wonder I wonder how the Mysterios really feel about this. Like behind the scenes, like are they comfortable with this? I mean, they must be because they're doing it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would assume that Ray was bringing Aaliyah and the family in, and they had this idea of the Murphy storyline. So I'm not saying Ray has complete and utter control over everything, but I would assume that he kind of had a heads up and knew where they're going when he brought the whole family in.
Absolutely. I don't know. We'll see. It's about to get good, as Booker T would say. All right, Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode defeat Drew McIntyre and the Street Profits. Randy Orton has pinned the WWE champion, and they're set to lock horns at Hell in the Cell. Yep. What are your thoughts?
We're having the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton match that we all wanted. We get it like for the 5th time in a row. Can't wait. I mean, Randy Orton pinning Drew McIntyre, if you're going to go to this match again, it makes sense because Drew has kind of got the upper hand on Randy Orton so many times. The promo beforehand that kicked off Raw, I mean, the delivery, I guess, was good, but I didn't like the angle they did with the night vision goggles. Like, you're telling me in like that 10-second segment, Randy Orton like did all these things and like whispered sweet nothings in a Christian's ear and like did all these things. I mean, it was a little unbelievable to me, but I did like that Drew, like a regular person would do after someone did something despicable, he went and found Randy and then went to go attack him. So I like that aspect of it. The promo, not so much.
I mean, Randy can do quick things. He's a Viper. He can slither. He can whisper sweet nothings into anybody's ear in a moment's notice. We don't know. Look, my point is, put the title on Randy Orton. Just do it already. Let's just do it. He can't have 3 losses in a row. Look, I know he's Randy Orton, but like, where does he go from here? Let's be realistic. Where does he go from here? Put the title on him. Let's have another.
This is the Fiend, because that's what everybody wants to see.
No. Let's put the title on Randy. I'm ready for another Age of Orton. Let's just do it.
I mean, if Randy Orton did retain a Clash of Champions, maybe you would be the champion and not me.
That it'd be the age of the Messiah, and we all need that in our lives. Absolutely. We're gonna move on from this. What else happened on Monday Night Raw? R-Truth's mock draft. It was funny. Yeah, I think he put Sam Roberts on Raw and Peter Rosenberg on SmackDown. I'm like, haha, that's funny stuff. What are your thoughts on R-Truth's mock draft and then losing the 24/7 championship to what we thought was Randy Orton, but was really Drew Gulak?
Good for R-Truth, putting himself as a second draft pick for SmackDown. If you're not going to be your own biggest fan, then who else will? So shout out R-Truth for doing that. It's more 24/7 shenanigans. I mean, I guess Drew Gulak in the mix now kind of mixes it up a lot more than just having R-Truth and Tozawa pin each other back and forth. It's kind of tiresome. There are kind of like highlights, and that'll make me laugh. They're like, that was cute. I see what you did there. And if you can get me to do that, I guess that's good. It's better than just nothing.
Yeah. You were absolutely right. You were 100% right. Keith Lee and Braun Strowman tear up the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome.
Unfortunately, there was no Raw Underground this week. I know everyone was so sad, but for some reason, Braun Strowman showed up anyways, had an exhibition match with Keith Lee, which I find funny that Braun Strowman didn't know what an exhibition meant, but it is what it is. And then we kind of saw this coming, like Lee versus Strowman. We know they're not going to give a finish. If anything, I was scared that maybe Braun would pin Keith Lee, but that's not the case. So similar to what they're doing with the Fiend and Kevin Owens, maybe laying the groundwork for someone to switch brands. I think they're doing the same here with maybe Keith. I think it's a strong possibility that we can see the Fiend going to Raw and then seeing Keith Lee over to SmackDown, since, as we talked about, the lack of baby faces over there.
Yeah, I mean, and then we could run. We could finally get Keith versus Roman, because they had that standoff at Survivor Series last year, and Roman pinned him. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm not opposed to that, Brandon. Yes, sir.
Just give me the book.
Hell, can we both have the book, though? I have ideas too that I want to include.
I'm 5149.
Just as long as we put the title on Dolph, that's all I really want. Moving on from that, Nia
24/7 title?
No. The one that Drew has.
That's the only title he's getting in my book.
Whoa! Why are you throwing shots at the people I like? Randy, Charlotte, Hunter.
How I've been complimenting Randy Orton for feels like a millennium now.
I mean,
don't put that on me. And Charlotte has not been here, so I can't bury her like I normally do.
Is it because I'm not that fond of your Ospreys and your Riddles and your Omegas and your Ibushis? Is this why?
I play the fifth.
Oh, okay, all right. Nia Jackson, what the hell's her name? Shayna Baszler. They retained the women's tag team championships. Nia keeps putting Lana through a table. It's just a running gag at this point.
Yeah, they bring back the Riot Squad, having Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott together, and then they just are fodder for the makeshift tag team of Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler. With Bayley and Sasha not there anymore, what the hell is that tag team division even? So, there's not really any credible tag teams anymore. Iconics aren't a thing. Sasha and Bayley aren't a thing. Kabuki Warriors aren't a thing. So it's like the only tag teams are the Riot Squad and Lana and Natalya.
Get rid of the division. Get rid of the titles. Yeah.
But Phillip, the internet asked for it.
Who asked for it?
The internet.
I never saw the internet ask for those.
That's what Stephanie McMahon said, and Stephanie is always right.
Look, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. I really don't. Stephanie is always right on most occasions. But this one was not one. We don't need these championships. They have too many. Get rid of them. Nobody wanted to see them. Nobody wants to see them now.
I second that opinion.
They didn't work in the 80s. They're not working now. Yeah.
But they could work. Just make him an NXT title one, though. Don't give NXT.
No.
NXT doesn't need any more titles.
Yeah. They throw him in NXT UK. There we go. Nobody watches that. So I guess we're just gonna move on to AEW. Dynamite. It was the 30-year anniversary celebration of the in-ring career of Le Champion, my friend Chris Jericho. Brandon, before we get into it, man, 30 years of the demo god, of the million viewer man. What are your thoughts?
30 years in the business, and for the most part, a straight shot. I mean, he had a couple hiatuses to do his rock shtick, but I mean, 30 years in the business and being a prevalent part for at least 20 years of it, maybe even 25. I mean, that's a pretty spectacular feat. No one, I mean, you can say like some people have done it, but I think Jericho is kind of the maybe the first guy to, like, he got into the business so young that he was able to be that guy for a majority of it. I mean, Rey Mysterio, yeah, he's probably been in the business for 30 years at this point, but he's kind of broken down, and he's not really the main event guy like Chris Jericho is. And I mean, Chris Jericho, for me personally, has always been kind of one of my favorites, not like the favorite, like the guy I loved, but I always, enjoyed his work. And, whether it be the wrestling aspect in his early part, and then now a lot more the character work in his later part, I think Chris Jericho, I think people say this all the time, he's always the guy to adapt and reinvent himself. And I think that's why he's been so relevant for these past, at least 10 years.
Absolutely, the Reverend of Reinvention. I mean, and he's coming out with a book. With every match that he's ever had, he kept a track record over 30 years. That's impressive. I think this match with Hager, going up against Chaos Project was like 2000 something, which, you would think he would have had a lot more matches in 30 years, but he's had 2000 and something. So that's interesting in my opinion. Yeah, just thank you, Chris, for 30 years of changing the game, and all the catchphrases and the light up jackets, the scarves, the bubbly, the lists, all that great stuff. So we kick it off with Brian Cage defending the FTW Championship against Bay Area's Will Hobbs. Hobbs was unsuccessful in his attempt to capture the FTW title. It was a pretty solid, hard hitting match. Hobbs threw out that spine buster like he was on. Just the quick hips on Hobbs for a man that his size, delivering that move was very impressive. All in all, Cage hits him with the drill claw, the suplex pile driver. And yeah, man, what are your thoughts on the match and then what happened afterwards?
I quite enjoyed this match. You had Taz and Ricky Starks on commentary, so it added more, character to the match. And with Hobbs and Cage, two guys who have a different body type than a lot of the people on AEW, it lended itself to be a different type of match. And I quite enjoyed it. I mean, it was hard hitting. It was, a big house fight at times, but then also athletic and not high flying, but, at agility. There was agility in the match at times. So I liked it. Obviously I was rooting for Hobbs, but we kind of knew that Cage was going to win. Kind of taking some losses for Moxley in the past few weeks. Good to get him a win under his belt here. But I think it also kind of elevated Hobbs in the making, because Hobbs, he was more of a dark AEW dark guy. So he wasn't, on television for the most part. So the main audience doesn't really know him and, sees what he does. One thing is, like, Jim Ross, stop calling him Willie. His name's not Willie. His name's Will. Call him Will. How hard is that?
I mean, he calls Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
And I don't like that either. Call them by their names.
I mean, he can't be a Jungle Boy forever. You know what I mean?
When he changes his name to Jungle Jack, then call him Jungle Jack.
I mean,
or whatever.
The Young Bucks can't be Young Bucks forever.
But I feel like that's going to be the shtick going forward when they get into like their 40s.
Yeah, they're going to be the new Rock and Roll Express. Oh God, Willie Hobbs, it's okay. I don't really have a problem with it.
Big problem.
It's that Boomer Sooner Oklahoma Sooners thing, man. That's all it is.
Okay, Boomer.
Whoa! You just call me a Boomer?
Boomer Sooner.
Talk about JR, right? Hey now. Yeah, so then Team Taz, gives Willie Hobbs an option. Either join the team or get beaten down. Then Darby Allin comes out and all this other stuff. Taz is like, one day soon you're gonna learn to keep your face out of my business, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of short and simple. I once again liked the mic work from Taz. Kind of teasing. Maybe Hobbs will turn heel and join Taz. Very similar to the Hurt Business. But I mean, Darby comes out. I think having Darby, the small short, not, I mean, the small short white guy and the big jacked black guy kind of being an odd couple tag team. That could be a lot of fun. So let's see where this goes.
They're gonna call them Salt and Pepper.
I mean, sure.
Okay. All right. We have
You brought it
another.
up.
Oh, hey.
Don't try to cancel me.
I think I'm allowed. I think I'm allowed to do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have another 20-minute brush with greatness. FTR. They go up against the Hybrid 2. I forgot. What's the other guy's name? Angelico, is that it?
Angelico and Jack Evans.
Jack Evans, yeah, I really forgot about these guys. So yeah, they go up against him. Oh, this was a pretty good match. I thoroughly enjoyed this. FTR being a little bit more agile in this match than others than their usual roughneck tag team wrestling. All in all, they get the win, and then the best friends come out there. Best friends call them weenies, and then they brawl. And so next week we get best friends versus FTR for the tag team championships.
The match FTR Hybrid 2, I thought it was good. It was different compared to what FTR normally has. I mean, TH2, I think they're kind of a forgotten tag team, as you said. I think they do good work, but they're not going to really be any much more than that. With the best friends coming out, it was like they were doing the WWE comedy, like what Randy Orton did with all the old timers in the hospital with ice packs on their head. Like, it's not funny, but I feel like there's a self-awareness to it. But I think, like, we see that so much in WWE, I wouldn't do it. Like, I would try to stay away from that type of dumb comedy.
Yeah, don't do that. Hopefully we never see it again. Never, ever
Phillip,
see it again.
I like comedy that's funny. And that was not funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I like comedy that's funny too. That's why I don't watch Dave Chappelle.
Whoa.
Whoa. Is this new information to people?
We
I mean, look, Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams, not funny. I mean,
okay, I'll give you Cat, but come on. I mean, Dave Chappelle.
I'm not
I mean,
a
the
fan.
Chappelle Show is one of the greatest sketch comedy show of all time.
I'm sorry. It's not funny to me. I enjoy people who have adapted the moniker of like a king of comedy, like a Steve Harvey or a Bernie Mac or Cedric the Entertainer. Kevin Hart. I'll throw him in the realm of kings of comedy. I mean, that dude's absolutely hilarious.
Let's just move on.
What? Oh, is Kevin Hart not funny?
I mean, Kevin Hart has his moments.
What? Oh my! You need. Oh, this is another podcast for another time.
Just because you're loud doesn't mean you're funny.
I mean, just because you're loud doesn't mean you win debates. Hey now.
Thank you, Phillip.
Yeah. Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you,
MJ.
Phillip.
You're welcome. MJF has a message to Chris Jericho. He says, after Double or Nothing last year, Jericho went up to him and was like, kid, you got something, just stick to people who inspire you. And then MJF pointed to Jericho, was like, you inspire me, Chris. And Jericho kind of smiled or whatever. It was a very heartfelt message. How did you feel about this?
It was quite beautiful, moved me. And all in all, I really did enjoy the Jericho 30. I don't know if you call them shout outs. You had like all these legends from wrestling and rock and roll. I thought there was, a
you
lot
had Shaq.
We did have Shaq. We had, Paul Stanley. We had Gene Simmons. We had Lars.
Slash.
We had a lot of legends out there.
DDP, Bully Ray,
and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes, absolutely. Ultimo Dragon. He shouted out Corazon de Leon
and Chavito via Skype.
Yes, with Fluffy. Oh God, you gotta love it. Gabriel Iglesias. He's another guy that's funnier than Dave Chappelle.
Not funnier than Dave Chappelle, but I do like Fluffy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. And I was like, how are they going to do this? Huey and I on the Click, we talked about that. Like, how are they going to do this? They don't have footage to basically the majority of his career. They don't have footage to WCW and WWO. I wondered how they were going to do it. And they figured out a way around this. And I thought this was very cool. So next up, we have the dog collar match. It is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, going up against the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, for the championship of America's Greatest Network, the TNT Championship. It's bloody. It was a mess. Silver gets beaten up. Cody's bloody. Brody Lee's bloody package pile driver from the apron onto the floor onto a table. All in all, Cody gets the win. He's a two-time TNT champion, and people are not happy. The internet is not happy. I've been reading the comments. People are like, "Oh, you say you're not Triple H. Doesn't matter if you broke the throne. You are Triple H. Big entrances, putting yourself over all like this." And they were like, "Oh, Brody just had the title while Cody could go do a TV show." People are saying that, and I'm like, mm. And look, I love Cody Rhodes to death. You can see him. He's here behind me. I thought Brody Lee should have won. I thought he was kind of on a roll with the TNT Championship. Now let's see him go for the world title. Let's you know what? Put him in that tournament, dude. Are all the slots filled up yet? Do we know?
I believe it's an 8-man tournament, and there's already been 8 people announced.
Okay, well, let's say hopefully there's one more slot open. Put Brody Lee in it. Hell, let him let him win the thing and challenge Mox and beat him at Full Gear.
So the match itself, I absolutely loved. I thought that it was hard hitting, bloody, gory. I mean, we kind of thought that that was what they were going to do. I did think that they kind of rushed it. I felt like you could have given it a little bit more time to culminate. I know they're trying to do things before the anniversary show. They don't want to stack it too much, but I think you could have maybe even stretch it out past the anniversary show. And but that being said, build aside, I thought the match was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. Now going to the Cody winning it thing, like I understand where people are coming from because Cody is gone for 2 months, comes back and wins his title back. But Cody is the star of AEW, I think, at this point. Like, yeah, Moxley might be the champion, but I think like Cody is like the guy there. Now, he can't in storyline be champion for the AEW World Champion, so the TNT title is the next best thing. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if there is another heel turn in the Elite where Cody does have some sort of shift and not exactly like the Fiend, but this match and this feud changes Cody and he changes him for the worse. So when I can see where people are coming from with Cody winning the title, but I'm not against it. I think I'm not saying it's the right move or a good move, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You're just putting yourself over, brother. Because I mean, where does Brody Lee go from here after he wins it? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either. I really don't. And then you have Cody. After the match, he gives a speech to the fans in attendance. He's like, "It's so good to have you people back in attendance, and people have told me to take a darker path, but no, this is my life's work. This is what I've strived to be since I was 15 years old to get your adulation. My life's work is to be a professional wrestler, and this is for you." Very heartfelt, rah-rah speech by Mr. Rhodes.
Cody even said it in the promo that, I don't care if this is cliche or not. And I think that's what Cody does best is like he does that American dream, get the people riled up promo that I think some people in the wrestling business kind of want to stay away from because they think of it as cheesy or, pandering too much, which I mean, at some points it can be pandering. Like I think sometimes John Cena went in that direction a little too much. But I think when it feels real, and I think that's the thing with AEW is a lot of things they feel, a lot of things they say rather, feel authentic. And so when you feel authentic, you can say the pandering things more, and they will connect with the crowd better.
Absolutely. I mean, he connects to the ideal of the American dream because hell, his father was the quintessential ideal of the American dream, a blue collar guy to where if he wasn't a pro wrestler, he'd work a 9 to 5, 7 days a week to support his family. That. So I mean, Cody does like you just said. Cody does do the rah stuff very very well. All right, we're gonna move on from that. Kenny Omega had a promo backstage. What are your thoughts on that? Talking about how he's a single star yet again.
I enjoyed it. I mean, Kenny, for the most part, has never had like that stellar singles promo. Um, I mean, I liked it. It's kind of furthering establishing that he's going to be the singles guy. And once again, he's not burying Page. He's not really going after him. But with both of them, I haven't seen the bracket. If there is one out there, I would assume they're on opposite ends of the bracket, and we're going to get a collision in the finals.
Yeah, I think it has to be those two in the finals to decide who's going to challenge Moxley for the championship. Who Who do you think it would be? Would it be Hangman? Would it be Kenny? Is it Kenny's time?
Well, so I hope that it is like obvious that they're both going to meet in the finals, because just because it's an obvious storyline doesn't mean it's a bad storyline. And I think I would put Kenny over. If you it depends. If you're going in the heel direction for Kenny, then put him over, have him win, beat Moxley, he can be the cleaner again and be a heel and do all that things. And then you can build up Hangman to try to win the title at Double or Nothing or All Out or whatever pay-per-view they want to do it at. But if they're both going in a babyface direction, I mean, I think you want Hangman to get the win there. So I think it's just all up to what their future plans are.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, moving on from that, we have Big Swole going up against Serena Deep. Serena Deep was, of course, part of the Straight Edge Society all those years ago. This was really stiff. This was a stiff match.
Yeah, I mean, they had this match right after the dog collar match, so these women had a tough act to follow, but I think they did well. I think they, as you said, it was hard hitting. It was, not high flying or not the best women's match of all time, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it's different than some of the other matches we've been seeing in the women's division. And, Big Swole getting the win after her program with Britt Baker. I like it. They're saying she's the number 2 contender, so we haven't seen Sheeta or Thunder Rosa in a while. I'm a little scared. I don't know what that means, but hopefully maybe Swole faces Sheeta, and that could be another good match.
I'm saying, yeah, absolutely. I'm not opposed to that. All right, moving on from that, we have Mox. He has a promo. He's in a bar, and I like how he delivered the "Everybody Dies" line better than Lance Archer. Yeah,
Yeah, I very much enjoyed this promo. Lance Archer also had a similar kind of promo by himself. I thought that was fine, but I think this promo by Moxley is definitely where he shines. Just him sitting in a bar, like you're his buddy or, some random dude that you just met and he's just talking to you about random things. I loved it. I thought this is really what Moxley is the best at. And I did love the delivery at the end, taking the other guy's gimmick and kind of making it your own. And it's like, everybody dies. So let's fight. Maybe you win, maybe I win, but I'm going to go down swinging.
absolutely. Straight, simple, to the point. This video package was like a minute and a half. The champion doesn't physically need to be there every week. You can do stuff like this. That's where I think AEW excels.
Yeah, I mean, they've been put in a rough position because it feels like the last 2 title matches that they've had have been affected by a COVID positive test. So, not having both of them there in the building, being able to hype it up. I mean, it's fine because they've done these promo packages before. And this is something I wish WWE would do more of, is these hype packages. Like, you don't need someone in the ring for 10 minutes cutting a promo. Now they've kind of cut back on that because there is no crowd anymore. But I think WWE would be a lot better in doing those type of packages. Now we're seeing them with Bianca Belair. We haven't talked about those packages, and I think those packages are honestly kind of dumb, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, baby. All right, it is the main event. It is the Inner Circle, consisting of the Big Hurt, Jake Hager, and Le Champion Chris Jericho, going up against Chaos Project. The fans, they really sang their hearts out for Judas when Jericho made his way out to the ring. I mean, obviously serenading the goat that is Chris Jericho. Look, I love Chris to death. This match was not good.
Yeah, the whole point of this match was just him and his buddy Luther, having a match, just giving his buddy a main event, give him a nice little payday. So, I mean, I'm not going to judge it too much. I understand what it was. Jericho gets the win, as he should have. And, I'm not going to critique the in-ring aspect too much because I was definitely not expecting really anything.
Yeah, I mean, you could see kind of where Jericho was, kind of guiding and helping him out, though. I don't think he should have been on the top rope at all, in my personal opinion. Just to be safe, if he can really do it anyway. Let the Serpentico, is that the guy's name? Yeah, let the flyer, do the flying stuff. But after that, MJF comes out and he's giving Chris a gift, and it's a clown, and then it's a picture of MJF himself. Jericho's like, "Oh, thank you." Then he smacks it over the clown's head and gives him a vicious Judas effect, probably the best one ever. And then Jericho's like, "Don't ever interrupt me again." And then MJF and him are like, "I got you." And then everybody comes out. They bring Bubbly. The ring's filled with, I think, basically all the heels. And Jericho's like, "Thank you guys so much. Have a good night." And then the ending credits. Jericho produced everything. You gotta love it.
Of course he did, because he's Chris Jericho. He's the GOAT. The ending segment, I thought it was fine. I thought it was, all right. MJF saying that he has a big announcement next week. I don't know exactly what that might be, but I'm wondering if it has to do with him trying to make a faction. And is this MJF joining the Inner Circle? And then maybe he tries to take the Inner Circle away from Chris Jericho, and that's kind of how you have him turn babyface. That is quite a possibility. On the other hand, I was a little disappointed. I wanted a Festival of Friendship type over the top extravaganza for Chris Jericho, because that's what he does so well. We had a little taste of it with MJF and the Clown and everything like that. But I'm also kind of glad they didn't really go super over the top, because I don't want them to be too WWE with some of their segments, and Jericho already has the WWE aspect of him to him. So, overall, I thought it was well done.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Superstar Spotlight. Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got? Looking at the week that was in professional wrestling, you have to give it to Chris Jericho. 30 years.
I'm gonna do a first time ever Superstar Spotlight. I'm going to give it to John Silver. He really took a beat in that dog collar match. He is fantastic on being the Elite. Maybe for all the wrong reasons, but John Silver, shout out. John 4 Silver. He's the number 4. So shout out to him.
Yeah, he's the dude that sings Cody's theme song on Being the Elite. I like that guy. He does funny stuff. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, promo pick of the week: Chris Jericho, the final highlight reel, Monday Night Raw, July 28th, 2008. This was the week after Jericho smashes Shawn Michaels' head into the Jeritron 5000, and then he comes out and he's like, "This is the end of the highlight reel as you know it. Shawn Michaels is a parasite. He's a hypocrite. He's a liar." This is when he starts wearing suits and using the big elaborate words. A Nick Bockwinkel adjacent character. And for the longest time, this was my favorite Chris Jericho. I was like, you know what? Light Up Jacket doesn't top it. List doesn't top it. The Light Champion has topped it for me since then. But I mean, what were your thoughts on this? And then I think you've watched some stuff back because you weren't watching at this time. What are your thoughts on this promo and the kind of suit and tie era Jericho?
Yeah, Chris Jericho has come out and said that this was kind of his favorite work of his career. And you understand why, because Chris Jericho is just a fantastic heel. I mean, I think Chris Jericho has always been a better heel than a babyface, because he just knows how to get underneath people's skin. And this was no different here. I really enjoyed this. He said this was the final highlight reel until it wasn't. We've had many highlight reels after the fact, but the kind of the start, not the exact start, but the heelish suit wearing Chris Jericho, fantastic. And the Chris Jericho Shawn Michaels feud is lives on forever.
Absolutely, it's my favorite feud of all time, and I love this Jericho. I started using these elaborate words like Chris did at school. I almost wore a suit to school and just started doing the whole gimmick. That would have been interesting. All right, close match pick of the week, Brandon. What is it?
Well, the close match pick of the week is something that they talked a whole hell of a lot about on AEW this past week. It is the dog collar match between Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Roddy Piper at Starrcade 1983. Greg Valentine was in attendance for the dog collar match yesterday. And this is, it's a dog collar match, so it's kind of very similar to the Brody Cody match, very hard hitting. It's basically all you would expect, bloody, gory, and everything in between.
Absolutely. This happened 3 days before Thanksgiving in 1983. Neither of us were alive, so we only have to watch, people talk about this. Yeah. I forgot Greg was in attendance, I wonder how much they had to pay him to get there.
A ham sandwich and a handshake? I don't know.
You never know, dude. I mean, he's
elbow
still
bump.
He still has that carny vibe. I remember at Starcast. Once they get out I was like, okay, so once they get out the convention hall, they're fair game. He's in the hallway walking. Dude wants a photograph. He's like, $40. I'm like, oh, Oh Jesus, never mind. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for us here. Yeah. So Cindy's Into the Stratosphere will be up on Saturday. She had a guest from No DQ accompany her. They talk Impact Victory Road. They talk NJPW. A lot of cool stuff. Brandon and I will be back next week for the regular episode of the Bulletcast. Maybe we'll do a special one like after the draft. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Brandon with that, see if he wants to do anything like that. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at Bulletcast, Instagram the Bulletcast, YouTube channel the Bulletcast, email us Bulletcast2 is in the number 2 sweet SWET@gmail.com, 99.9 FM KW and WhatsApp every Thursday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Spotify, Patreon. We're all over the damn place. Thank you guys so much. Stay clean, stay strong, stay safe, stay quarantined. Diamonds are forever. And so is the microphone Messiah.